Y'all, my name is Chris Allen, and it is my distinct pleasure to serve as the superintendent of the Midway Independent School District. And really it is my job today to make some thank yous prior to us cutting a ribbon, to welcome you to this brand new renovated facility. I love renovations. They speak to so much of what it is that we try and do in education, and that is take something we receive, spend a lot of time working energy and effort on it, and it'd be better by the time we're done with it. This building's been around for a long time, and we'll spend a little more time talking about that in a few minutes. But what I want to do now is start by just expressing some thank yous. And you cannot talk about a renovation such as this one without first and foremost thanking the taxpayers. And a lot of people did a lot of hard work. But if folks don't go to the polls and vote yes for the bond programs that allow us to build these buildings and do this type of work for our students, we don't even get out of the gate. And I think it's very, very important that we stop and take a moment to just remind ourselves of the fact that great schools exist in communities that show the most amount of support for the expectations that they want for their kiddos. And so I just want to start off by telling our taxpayers how much we appreciate them. Secondarily, I'm in a unique situation where I'm the superintendent who's expressing a lot of well wishes and thanks and get to talk with glowing pride about this building because I have virtually nothing to do with it. I can speak with as much excitement as I want and run zero risk of looking arrogant because it wasn't me. This was led primarily by the work of Dr. Kazanis. And so Dr. George Kazanis, if you'll please stand, recently retired. It would be completely inappropriate for me to stand up here and continue to do what I'm doing without acknowledging the fact that this race was almost 100% run when Dr. Kazanis handed me the baton on this building. And so I'm standing up here because I needed to wear a tie today and he didn't. So I'm here. You also can't do work with it like this without extraordinarily smart leadership, not only in trying to work with the community to get the funds to do work like this, but manage those funds very, very wisely. The bond program that did this work was passed at the same time that the school board made a decision to drop the INS tax rate by 1 penny. And that means that there's been a history of well-managed finances in this school district. And so I would like to recognize our board president, Mr. Pete Russick, who will visit with you in just a moment. Yes, sir. I'm going to call all their names and ask you to hold your applause. Vice President Susan Vick, who couldn't be with us today, Secretary Pam Watts, Mr. Rick Tullis, I saw there he is, Mr. Brad Alford, Mr. Colin Witt, and not with us today, Mr. Jonathan Green. Please let them know how much we appreciate their leadership. This work is an expression of the desire of our community, and I can say that confidently because there was a Momentum Facility Committee that studied the needs of our schools and community and worked to put together the bond program that led to this effort. And I want to thank anyone who was a part of that effort, but most especially Carly Webb and Scott Bland. Please let them know you appreciate them for their efforts. I have mentioned that so much of the work that was done was accomplished by Dr. Kazanis, but he had help. With us today is also Dr. Aaron Pena, Assistant Superintendent for Administration. I lost Aaron. Where'd he go? There he is, way in the back. Dr. Ashley Knudsen, there she is. Y'all can stand. Dr. Becky Otojima, thank you, Becky. And Wesley Brooks. In addition to that, this work was done by recently retired Mary Lou Glazeman and our recent lost Dr. Jeannie Johnson. Those folks worked very, very hard to put the steps in place that make this building possible. So those are a lot of the folks who put us in position to do this work. Let's talk about some of the people who did the work, okay? Our general contractors were Mazanec Construction. They have done such fabulous work. When I was here before as high school principal, they did a lot of great work for the school district. I'd like to recognize, I want to call out a number of names here. I'll ask you to hold your applause. Ed Mazanec, Eddie Mazanec, Mark Mazanec, Sam Blunt, John Kazanis, Aaron Miner, and the job soup, Thomas McLaughlin. If any of those folks are here, please stand and be recognized. I cannot express my deep appreciation to that group enough. Even as late as this morning, they were working to make sure everything was up and going in this building, and they've done a fantastic job. The folks who do the work in the building work off plans developed by architects. The architects for this project were Huckabee architects. With us today are Aubrey Moses and Paul Thompson. They're already standing, so it's going to be hard for me to do that. And we have the distinct pleasure of having the president of Huckabee with us today, Josh Brown. Thank you, Josh, for making the trip down here. Thanks a lot. Walker Partners, Jacob Bell and Luke Ratliff. There we go. Thank y'all for being here. And I'm proud to say that more than 70% of the folks who did the work on this project as subcontractors were local. Not only are we using those bond funds in a way to make things better for our students, but we're actually contributing back to the local economy. If you represent any of the folks who did those work, any of our subcontractors, I've had a chance to meet some of you this morning. Will you please stand? We want to recognize you not just for your work on this project, but for being here in our community. Our folks did a lot of work with us as well. Jimmy Bennett and our maintenance crew. Where's Jimmy? He's probably working. Y'all, our maintenance crew worked very, very hard in support of all the construction work that was being done, and were a big assist on the work, so we're very, very proud of them. Jesse Garner and our technology crew. There's Jesse. He sat up and down as fast as he could. I introduced Wesley earlier, but you should know he's our CFO. He's the one who makes sure that all the dollars and cents add up, and part of the reason this project came in on time and almost $300,000 under budget is because of smart leadership out of Wesley Brooks' office. So thank you, Wesley, for that. And then the patience and grace of the Midway Middle School staff, families, and their students, some of whom you see standing down here right now. This work was done while school was in session. And there was all sort of workaround and outside paths and portable buildings that were required to get that done. And it was disruptive. I have been part of a renovation while serving in a building, and people come up with really smart plans to minimize the impact on students, staff, and their families. But at the end of the day, it is disruptive. And the degree to which they humbly accepted the challenge of taking some of that on, knowing it was going to make this school better, not only for themselves, but the future generations of students who would come through this building. It's truly humbling, and we can't thank them enough. They're worth some applause. We've also added to the traffic and gotten in the way of a few things, and you can't do work like this without also having cooperation from your city leadership. We thank so much the city of Hewitt for help with the building, but also the city of Waco and Woodway. With Hewitt, I want to express appreciation for Bo Thomas, city manager, Steve Fortenberry, the mayor, Erica Bruce, councilwoman, and then Fire Chief Jonathan Christian. I know I've seen some of those folks here. If you're with the city of Woodway, would you please wave? Hewitt, sorry. And with the city of Woodway, I want to thank Mayor Amin Korzal, who I know I saw earlier. He and I chatted for a few minutes. There you are. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your help during all this. People are sometimes surprised to hear that we have more students in the Midway Independent School District living in Waco than in any other single town. And so the Waco City Council means quite a bit to us. I think this mic is tired of hearing me talk today. I want to thank Josh Borderud and Jim Holmes, who are both over here. Thank you for being here today. In addition, I'd like to express appreciation for the Hewitt Chamber of Commerce under Alyssa Caddy, and then the Waco Chamber under Matt Metter and Chris Collins. This building, like I said before, has a long-standing tradition in our school district. And to speak a little bit more about that and to thank some other folks upon whose shoulders we stand would be our board president, Mr. Pete Russell.
Thank you, Dr. Allen. You know, he always insists on calling me Mr. Russick. In exchange, I call him Dr. Allen. So, the script says, one or more groups of leaders we brought in for this river cutting to celebrate the proud history of this building as a middle school and, as many of you know, a high school back in the day. We've got lots of former principals and superintendents for this campus and for the district that served, and we want to actually have those folks come forward as opposed to just standing. So when I hold your applause, but as I call your name, if you come forward, and I don't know that these are in any particular order, so I'm just going to call them out. Bill Killian, come on up, Bill. Joe Kuchera, is Joe here? Did I see Joe? Jennifer Allison. I know Herb Cox is here, rocking his 70s look, as he said. I know I saw Jay Fisher here. Come on up here, Jay. As a high school, Don Taylor. Is Don here? I don't know if Don is here or not. Bob Dinsmore, principal here. And folks that are no longer with us, but in their memory, Eldon Barrett, Wendell Battle, and Sharon Zachary. As superintendents, Jerry Christian. I know Jerry's here. Where'd you go, Jerry? Come on up here. Randy Albers. He would never grow that goatee while he was here as superintendent, I'll tell you that. Brad Lancaster. I'd say the same thing about him. He wouldn't do that either, right? George Kazanis. And in memory of Marvin Dameron and Terry Harlow. And we want to get a photo op, and as Dr. Allen said, part of why Midway is where we are today is because of all of these people whose shoulders we've been able to stand on for all these years. Let's give these folks a round of applause. Just a little bit for those folks that are the number geeks and nerds. $19.5 million renovation. Our bond project as a whole was $148 million, as you will recall. One thing I want to pause on these numbers and make the point of, and George will remember this, one of the reasons we are where we are today was timing. We were incredibly fortunate on timing, and there's a guy who gets credit for pushing that timing, Rick Tullis. No, but I remember the board meeting where Tullis was like, so why can't we speed all this up? And as it turned out, that was a great thing to have happen. 114,784 square feet, big. Convert this from a 7-8 to a 6-7-8. We added collaboration spaces, lots of safety enhancements, flexible seating as you see, reworked the exterior as well as the parking and access, included lots of AV upgrades to the pack that you don't see here. And Dr. Allen's already said positive variance in the bond funds. I think we ended up somewhere about $5.5 million to the good overall on a $148 million bond project. And there's a lot of credit that goes to that, to all of the companies that did the work, including Mazanec on this one in particular. So with that, turn it back over to Dr. Allen. One thing, who we hadn't actually clapped for individually and personally, these young ladies up here. They need a hand.
Thank you, Mr. Russick. At this time, I'm going to turn control of this whole event over to Tracy Marley, because we're going to take some pictures. And so we're going to line some folks up. We're going to get ready. We're going to unroll a ribbon and have some scissors. We're going to bring the board up, and we're going to start sort of through the fun informatics of actually cutting a ribbon, okay? So, all right, we're going to count down. Y'all going to help me. We're going to go from 3. All right, we're going to make it easy. We're right back to school.
Do I cut them?
You cut whatever you want, sir. Ready? 3, 2,